Hey guys, it's Sam with Sam's Cookie Company, back at it again. This time we're going to do a tutorial in Fusion 360 that's all about the mirror tool. And then we're going to go ahead and take that completed sketch and make a cookie cutter with Sam's Cookie Cutter Maker. I hope you guys are excited about it. I know I am. So let's go ahead and get started.
So here we are in Fusion 360. I'm going to go ahead and insert my canvas, which is the clip art. I'm going to insert from my computer. I found this cute little butterfly. Just to remind everybody, I purchased a package of images from Creative Market. I purchased the commercial license because I'm going to be making cookie cutters that I'm selling to the public. I'm going to select this bottom plane, which is where I want to put my canvas, which is my butterfly. Now I'm going to go ahead and scale plane XY. Here I'm going to scale it 5 times. A lot of times my clip art comes in and it's pretty small. I want to make sure I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our sketch started. I'm going to hover over this area right here. It says Create Sketch. Let's click on that. It's asking me what plane that I want to work on. I actually want to work on this bottom plane, which is actually our XY plane. So I'm going to click on that, and here we go. I'm just going to go through a few things. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with Fusion 360 and how things work, but I've got a mouse with a wheel, and as I pull the wheel closer to me, the image gets larger. As I push the wheel away from me, the object gets smaller. One other thing that I do quite a bit of is I pan a lot. So if I hold my wheel down and then use my mouse as I would normally use it, I'm able to pan around and move that. So I do that a lot when I sketch. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw a construction line down the center of our butterfly, and we're really only going to be sketching or outlining the left side of our butterfly. You could do the right side if you felt like it was better, but we're going to do just the left side. I've done this a couple times and it seems to be a little bit easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on line, which you see here on the left. I'm going to click that. I'm also going to click construction. We want this to be a construction line, and we're going to put that just about the center of our butterfly. I'm going to hit the green check mark because I'm happy with that line. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to click construction one more time because these other lines that I'm going to draw, those are going to be the outline of my butterfly on the left side. If I were to leave construction on, then all those lines would be construction, and we really don't want all of them to be construction. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you've watched any of my videos in the past, I have used this control point spline, and it was really easier for me to use. Now I actually like the fit point spline. I know that's kind of crazy. I am an old dog. It's hard for me to learn new tricks, but I've learned this one, so I like it. So now I'm going to hit fit point spline. I'm going to zoom in again by using my wheel and going closer to myself. This butterfly has super skinny antennae, and I'm going to make an adjustment on the fly. I'm going to start from my construction line. I'm going to make those antennae a little bit bigger so they don't burn in the oven. Every time I make a cookie cutter, I really try to keep the whole process of baking, decorating in the back of my mind. So this is going to make the most sense for me. So I'm going to make these antennae just a little bit larger. I'm going to click on my very first point, which is on my construction line that we already made. And then I'm just going to just briefly go around these antennae to where it kind of looks like it makes sense for me. And I don't think I mentioned it, but what I do every single time I do a sketch of some kind is I go from point to point, so sharp point to sharp point. So I'm happy with that segment. I'm going to go ahead and click my check mark, and then I'm going to continue. I'm going to pan around to the next area, pulling it a little bit closer, using that wheel again. I'm going to hover over the very last point that I made. I'm going to click on that because it's the first point of my new line. Then I'm going to keep kind of using my fit point spline tool to the next sharp point. I'm going to click on the check mark because I'm happy with that. Then I'm going to go on to the next segment. I want to say all in all on this one, we have about 6 segments. Now that you've got this larger sort of curve, you can kind of spread out these points, but really do whatever is comfortable for you. I'm holding down my wheel anytime I'm panning around and using the mouse just like I normally would. Take your time with this. I'm going a little bit faster because I've done this a couple times. Hit your check mark when you're done with that segment. Then I'm going to hover over that last point, start my next segment. But hopefully you guys are sticking with me. If not, just press the pause button. You can take your time, take a look at it later, go at your leisure. Panning around. We're almost done with this butterfly, you guys. I'm spreading out these points on the straight runs. I'm going to stop one more time at that point, hit my check mark, hover over my very last point. Now I'm going to make just the very last part of my butterfly, and I'm going to end at my construction line. So I'm going to zoom in, try to make this area nice. And once I hover over that construction line, you can sort of see that green X. It's telling me I'm right on the construction line. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, hit my check mark. I'm going to zoom in to see if I forgot anything. I'm going to hit select so I don't mess anything up. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to click outside my butterfly so I can see it just a little bit better. Let's zoom in. You sort of see all these blue lines. Let's count our segments. I think we had 6, but I could be wrong. We've got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments, not 6. So we have 5 segments here. You can see our construction line is there. Our beginning point and our end point is on the construction line. So we are good to go. Okay, so now we're ready to go ahead and mirror our sketch and go ahead and finish out the other side. So we've got this tool right here. It's called Mirror. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's asking us for 2 things. One is objects. Objects is actually the sketch lines that we drew, and mirror line is what we created in the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and select my mirror line first because that's easiest. So I'm going to hit select, and I'm going to choose that construction line from the beginning. And then I'm going to select objects. So I'm going to click on that. Couple of important points here. I'm going to zoom in. See how I'm sort of hovering over the line and it's making the whole line kind of this really pretty cobalt blue. That's what you want to select. When you hover over these points, you see how it's white. If you click on that, it's going to kind of mess us up. So you want to zoom in and make sure that you've got this blue line here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I think we counted all of the lines that we had, or all of the segments, and we determined that I believe we have 5 segments. Then I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you can see. Here we've got pretty much the entire left side selected. So we had 5 parts of our outline from before, and our mirror line, it says 1 selected. That is our construction line. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then I'm going to hit select, and I'm going to click outside my butterfly. I'm also going to uncheck constraints. And now you can sort of see the entire sketch of my butterfly. You can kind of see whomever made this piece of clip art, it's not exactly symmetrical, but ours is pretty symmetrical. So if I hover over, you see how it's selecting our entire butterfly. That means it's a complete closed sketch, which is what we need for our cookie cutter. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on the inside. You can sort of see we have it. It's one complete sketch, one profile. It's actually got an area associated with it, which is perfect. This is exactly what we need for our cookie cutter. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish sketch, and we are ready to build our cookie cutter. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue and make our cookie cutter. I'm going to go ahead and hit on the little home because I like to see when my cookie cutter is being built. I'm hovering over the gingerbread man. It's Sam's Cookie Cutter Maker. This is the Bella profile. It actually is my favorite. We're going to click on that. So just a couple things. One, I'm filming, so you can't really see this dialog box. I want to make sure that you guys see there's that very last button there. It says Launch 3D Print. We're going to make sure we hit that one too, so I need to scroll down. So let's go through this. We have one cutter profile selected. That's our butterfly. Mirror profile, we would use this if we were doing words of some kind. So let's say that you were making a cookie cutter that said hello. You want to keep in mind that you are making sort of the bottom of the cookie cutter, which would be the handle. So to make the word hello, for us to see it on the screen, it may say hello, but really you need to mirror it because we are going to be making the handle part sort of first. That's what's being produced first on the 3D printer. We don't need to do that, so we're not going to check that, but just so you know, that option is there. Cutter width, that's going to be the width of the cookie cutter from left to right. Cutter height, that's going to be top to bottom. And as you adjust one, it will adjust the other to keep everything proportional. I tend to like a 3.5-inch cookie cutter. I want to put a little bit of detail in those wings, so I think 3.5 inches is going to work for me. These other items down here, they're actually good for me. This was built for me, so I don't have to worry about these. But if you wanted to change those, you do have that option. Cutting edge depth, that's going to be the depth of the cutting edge going into your dough when you're pushing your cookie cutter down. Cutter depth, that's the overall depth of the entire cookie cutter. Then you have cutter handle size, which is what you're going to hang on to when you're pushing. And then the very last option here is called Launch 3D Print. We're trying to make our entire cookie cutter. And just to remind everybody, all of the units in here, with the exception of the height and width, are in millimeters. So if you need to figure out if the cutting edge depth is going to work for your particular thickness of dough, I would go ahead and just use Google to say, oh, I do 0.375, which is 3/8 inches, and then you could just do equal mm, and Google will help you figure out what that particular number in millimeters should be. So I'm going to check Launch 3D Print because I'm ready to actually take this over to my 3D printer, and I want Fusion 360 to talk to Cura and make that happen for me. So I hit OK. We're going to wait just a couple minutes, and there is our cookie cutter. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And you can see our cookie cutter. He looks good. I think he's going to look great. So let's finish and get our geocode. So if you'll notice, selection. So this is our 3D print dialog box. I'm going to select the actual cookie cutter itself. There you see kind of the cookie cutter being made. Down here you see application Cura. You want to make sure that it says Cura. If it doesn't, you're going to click on the little folder, find your Cura, and go ahead and make that connection. If not, it's not really going to work. You want to make sure that it says Cura. But we set up ours ahead of time, so it's ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. Cura is going to go ahead and come up, and we're going to see our cookie cutter. There we go. There's our cookie cutter. Let's go ahead and pan around so we can see it. Awesome. That's going to be so nice. So now we're going to go ahead and hit slice so we can get our geocode. And there you have it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file. Then I'm going to put it on my removable USB, and then I'm going to put it into my 3D printer. I'm going to call this guy Butterfly. And then I'm going to save it. It's going to take 4 hours and 34 minutes to print this one. This particular cookie cutter profile is for me. I really like having something really sturdy to hang on to when I'm making my cookies. We are going to come out with other profiles. We also have the Sprinkle Factory profile. So those are going to print a little bit faster. They're still going to be just as sturdy, but I've already started using this particular profile printing my cookie cutter, so I like when everything is all matchy-matchy. But definitely do whatever works for you. If you think that you're only going to be using a cutter one time, you may want to consider one of our other profiles that prints a little bit faster. So thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate you watching these videos, and make sure you look out for more tutorials. Have a great day.